Why don't take into account religious people too much, or people speaking in general about religions? Well, I know that for the longest time we have been all living in a sick society. A sick society doesn't care at all what you believe in, who you worship, what you worship, and the such. And well, as you age, you kind of get tired of people talking to you about God's creations and the such as if they are in close relation, as if they are the brothers of that creation. Many people speak to you about gods and angels and the such, and they speak so vividly about those as if they are 24/7 communicating with those, as if they are besties, as if they are the best friends that there ever be. See, usually people who invent a lot get accustomed to inventing such things. They become entrenched in this. They become simply comfortable with that. And it gives them a certain power. It gives them a certain feeling that they are teaching for others, that they are preaching for others. And so many of these fuckers just end up promoting nonsense. And they speak about creation and all of these things as if they know it by heart. Yes? Remember that in a sick society, deviants rule, and they make everything possible to make it look that you are the broken one, that you are the problem, not them. In a sick society where fuckers simply film themselves raping children and women and men and whatever and killing people and eating them probably even alive, they are the ones telling you that some people of the world, of the past or present, those people are the ones who are presupposedly evil. Yes, but these fuckers have been eating human flesh for thousands of years, hundreds of years at least, let's say. But they're telling you that different figures throughout the history have been bad. Well, history is filled with such phenomena. History is always filled with such, let's call them creations of ignorance. But in the end, the problem is everything is subjectivized. And when things get subjectivized, well, the problem is you are no longer taught history. You are taught some people's frustrations with something. And if someone is frustrated about something, well, energy is contagious. I'd rather simply learn about things the way they truly happened, not about some people's hurt feelings and emotions. There are a lot of Karens in the world and nobody gives a damn about them. Funny fact, well, not even they give a fuck about themselves. If they actually did, they would do something to improve their life. Remember that many of these religious people, well, especially if they are in their old age, well, most likely they have been, or some of them have been kind of sluts, prostitutes, all sorts of people who did all sorts of misdeeds. And suddenly, towards the end of their life, now they feel this urge to feel righteous, to guide, or, well, in some people's cases, misguide people towards promised lands and, well, all sorts of imagined truths. The point is, in a sick society, all these people do, they do only one single thing. They just feed gods, or, well, more like figments of imagination, with their own energy. And then they pretend that those figments of imagination exist. It's one idea of, it's one subtle layer of psychiatry to invent things. Yes, because imagination in the end is a bit of psychiatry. You're just pretending that something exists. That is what the purpose of imagination is. You pretend that something exists. Yes, what do you do with imagination? Well, you imagine that something exists. You create some imaginary plans. None of those exist. It's just an analytical purpose. It is a slight psychiatry, yes? You're just pretending to be a nutcase, experiencing a certain thing that doesn't happen. You never know whether it would happen, but at least you imagine that it would. And then there is a whole level of psychiatry when you end up convinced that that imagination is correct. Because in the end, the majority of people calling themselves religious, they haven't experienced shit beyond their five senses. Honestly, many people, well, a psychiatrist said it a long time ago, that many people die at the age of 20, probably at most the age of 30, even if they're buried at the age of 60, 70, 80 years old. A lot of people wander around just like zombies because their whole life becomes a circus where they create layer after layer of negation and self-negation, and again and again and again. And that becomes a big problem, because the more people deny themselves anything about life, the more of a zombie they feel. And I am supposed to believe such fuckers? Whatever these bozos will speak, it is nothing else than the comfort that they seek. They are always stuck in some idea only because it is their comfort. And they are giving their entire energy to figments of imagination. They are feeding gods, even the fuckers that are billionaires. Many of those are more than wackos, more than psychopaths and the such. They're just long since gone. They don't have any sign of awareness as well. They're just parasites of consciousness, and those have one single purpose, like any other parasite: to consume in order to survive. But their survival in a human body is, well, also very confusing for them, because survival, they are interested theoretically in their own system, but at the same time they take survival at a much broader sense. They make it that they need other forces to survive, and they also infect you to function the same way. Yes, these parasites of consciousness have made deals with forces beyond everyone's or almost everyone's comprehension, and then they just victimize to those forces because that is what preserves their bond in a certain way. And these people, well, more or less parasites looking like people, these are the ones that give you any idea of religion. Yes, such fuckers, they pretend to be Christians, your Muslims, your brothers, your mothers, your sisters, your everything that you want, right? They dissimulate everything because a parasite is never capable of comprehending anything but its survival. So am I supposed to actually believe things like this? Even those fucking billionaires, not all of them, but many of those, they feed gods with their imagination, with their own energy, but they don't have the willingness to feed the poor. Yes? You don't necessarily feed the poor just food. You don't give anything for free. You teach people how to embrace something so that they make a better version of themselves. Because you don't want to make someone who is poor comfortable in their poverty. That is the purpose of a sick society. A sick society will always seek to make you comfortable in being a prisoner. Yes, what does a sick society want you to do? To worship your own chains. Yes? So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, enjoy life. This being said, Ferenc Board signing out.